Please stand. God our Father, we are all your servants. We trust in your mercy and love. We trust also in your guidance. Direct the meetings of this council of North College Hill to make good decisions for all the people who live in our city. Give all the members of this council wisdom and insight to know what is best for our city. Help us to be fair and just in all our decisions. Bless us all to do the very best we can. With your help and guidance, we pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Call this meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks to everyone for coming out. If anyone does wish to address council during public participation, we do have a sign-in sheet up here at the table. Please sign in with your name and address. Mr. Hedger is not with us this evening, so I will go ahead and call the roll. Ms. Dukestein?
Present.
Ms. DeWald?
Here.
Ms. Underwood? Ms. Alexander? Ms. Zorb?
Here.
Ms. Blythe?
Here.
Ms. Bruner?
Here.
All right, I did get notification from both Ms. Underwood and Ms. Alexander that they would not be with us this evening.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Ms. Underwood and Ms. Alexander from tonight's meeting.
I have a motion from Ms. Zorb to excuse Ms. Underwood and Ms. Alexander from tonight's meeting. Need a second?
A second.
Second from Ms. Bruner. Any discussion? I'll call the roll. Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. DeWald?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Bruner?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, we have tonight's agenda.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I move to accept the agenda.
Mr. President, I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Zorb. Motion by Ms. DeWald, second by Ms. Zorb to accept tonight's agenda. Any discussion? I'll call the roll. Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. DeWald?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Bruner?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. You have the minutes from the 6/5/2023 meeting.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I move to accept those minutes. I do have one small issue with it. I don't think it's worth changing. But we started the meeting 10 minutes late because we needed the fourth person to show up as a quorum. And so I'm wondering if that meeting minute should actually reflect that time. It says 7 o'clock, but we started at 7:10.
Do you want to accept or do you want to change?
I guess I'm just asking the general,
Right.
because I don't know what a big deal it is, but and we had waited 10 minutes, so.
All right, we have a motion from Ms. DeWald to accept the minutes from 6/5.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I have another observation. I noticed that there, as Ms. DeWald pointed out, there were only 4 members at that meeting. I was one of those who was absent. Of the 4 that were at that meeting, only 3 are here today. So I'm not so sure that you would get the vote you need to accept those minutes. I know I'm going to abstain is where I'm going with that, because I was not at that meeting.
Ms. DeWald, do you want to withdraw your motion and
I'll
we'll
withdraw my
put this
motion.
on the next agenda?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Zorb.
I mean, I'm not trying to put votes in anyone's mouth. I'm just letting you know how I was going to vote.
All right, next item on the agenda is communication. Did Mr. Hedger have any communication? I did not see anything. All right, that'll bring us to council committees, starting with City Community Development and Recreation.
City Community and Recreation Development met on July 12, 2023. Ms. Clear had a report that about Dumley Park. JMA update timeline should be of spring 2004. And we would like to have a groundbreaking. Stapleton Park behind Kroger, North Ridge, and Collegewood was last renovated in 1998. The park will need attention in the next budget cycle. Veterans Park is looking for funding opportunities. Volunteers, refresh the flowers, and a couple of foundations will help with funding for access to ramps, which would cost approximately between $30,000 and $40,000. And the Juneteenth Jam was presented by Chase Bank. It was Saturday, June 17th, with food trucks, bouncy house, and we're hoping that this event will grow. And she's finishing the recreation software. It's almost finished, you know, in case people like to rent the park. And this will assist with rentals, volunteers, and events. It's a very versatile software and flexible. Oh, okay. And with the, I'm still gathering information for the capital improvement replacement funds, rental registration funds. I'm still gathering information updates. I'm looking for an amendment of the legislation, so just kind of bear with me on that. So I'm working on goals to improve my agenda. And Ms. Watt brought to our attention that we should stop using initials and start using full names and get copies of the minutes and agendas ahead of time. And that concludes my report. And our next meeting is July 10th, 2003.
Thank you. Next up is Budget and Finance.
We met Monday, June 12th at 7:32 p.m. We went into executive session immediately upon our meeting. We also had, we talked about mid-year appropriations. Just an update, Ms. EQ is doing a very good job at making sure that we get the appropriations mid-year as opposed to doing a lot of stuff at the end of the year. We discussed our audit update and the prep that would go into that, which is scheduled to be mid-July. We just said July 15th because it's the middle of the month. The fire department, we talked about that. That was fourth on our agenda, and the ambulance and needing to purchase and pushing that to council floor, which is here tonight. And then we had some new business, and we talked about the energy program, and then we adjourned at 8:49 p.m. Our next meeting will be July the 17th at 5:30 to 6:30. I will be out of town, so I'm just gonna push it back a week on that third week. I asked Ms. Clear to send out that information for us today. And then I can tell you that we canceled Erica's 2 meetings.
I can
So-
report on that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dukestein. Next up, Rules and Public Policy.
As vice chair, I'll report. Both meetings were canceled by Ms. Underwood. The next meetings will have our July 17th for both of those meetings.
At 6:30 and at 7:30.
6:30 and 7:30.
Thank you. All right, next up
Mr.
is,
Graver,
yes, Ms. Dukestein.
so technically they should be on the 24th, right?
Oh, I
Yeah,
said
yep,
17th,
you're
because
right,
you
they
said
should be.
17th. I'm sorry,
Sorry.
24th.
I just was making sure I didn't mess
No.
up.
I panicked and looked at my calendar too.
Nope. Thank you, Ms. Dukestein. So the
Thank you.
rules and public policy and public safety are July 24th.
6:30
At
and
6:30 and at
7:30.
7:30. Thank you. Next up is ad hoc reports.
Mr. President,
Mr. President.
I got Ms. DeWald first.
June 14th, I went to the RETA meeting in Columbus. We voted on an amendment to the bylaws. They have meetings remotely so that we don't have to run up to Columbus. Also, there were ballots were distributed to vote for the president, secretary, and treasurer. And I don't know the results of any of those, about the amendment or who took what spot. And then on June 8th, I was in an OKI meeting. A lot of information goes on, but one of the things they touched on was the discussion about the Brent Spence Bridge. And OKI has been working with another organization in Kentucky on this bridge for a long time, designing, function, being environmentally safe for our communities. And they've made great progress. However, as I understand it, other groups have come in now with ideas about how they think the bridge should be built and what things should be put in there. It's slowing them down. I won't know till next month or the next meeting how far along they've gotten, but the OKI is still moving forward as best as it can on that Brent Spence Bridge. And then, Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
I received an email, I think most of council probably did, and I don't even know what date it was. It was a report from the police and fire department. And, you know, if you want to check your emails on it, but it's got a lot of good information in there. They're looking, the recreation is looking to put in a bicycle project, a path for bicycles. The Dumley Park materials are coming in. The police and fire department have, well, let me get that page out. The police department has sent a graph type of issue about the runs that the police officers make. And we, at this point in this year, we are down 10 violations or issues from last year. So at this time last year, we had 91 reported police department issues, and this year, at this time, it's 81. So that looks good.
Thank you, Ms. DeWald. Ms. Blythe?
Yes, I'd like to give an ad hoc report for the June 15th CIC meeting. And these are some comments that were made. Per Dan Brooks, the North College Hill Planning Commission would like to ban car repair businesses from the North College Hill residential area. That is something they're working on. Also, per Ms. Jennifer Eakey, who is here with us this evening, council will need to discuss the Metro Transit Hub. Metro will not build the hub for free and are stating a substantial price to do so. Also, I don't have the complete address, and this may be old information, but we were discussing the large tan building. It's next to the North College Hill Taylor and across from St. Margaret Mary's Church. It is now an adult daycare management office. It had been up, I guess, for rent or for sale for a very long time. Also, we did some brainstorming comments during the meeting, so this is strictly brainstorming. We were thinking that we could develop a down payment assistance program where the potential homeowner would borrow 1% from a bank for a down payment on a home. CIC would be the landlord. If new owner defaults, then house would go back to CIC. Also, I think this is a fact. There is a rent-to-own program which teaches home ownership education offered by people working cooperatively. Also, there were a few comments from members that North College Hill needs a coffee shop, smoothie shop, and also to set up a North College Hill City Block Party. And those are all the brainstorming and comments from the June 15th, 2023 CIC meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blythe. Any other ad hoc reports this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to the administrative reports. Good evening, Madam Mayor. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I really don't have a lot. I just wanted to touch on a couple things. Our monthly Food Truck Friday is scheduled for this Friday, but I do believe that we're going to cancel it because it's so close to the 4th of July holiday, and people are probably still traveling, coming in and out. So we have not made plans to reschedule it for a later date this month. Right now, it's just canceled, but if it is rescheduled, we will definitely get that out there. I would like to thank Ms. Javette over there. She acquired some trees for us to plant around this senior center. So I did find out that the property where we were thinking of putting those particular trees, it is part of the senior center building, so we wouldn't be planning on someone else's property. The idea is to try to combat some of that traffic that comes through there. So if there are trees and brush there, they don't have another option but to go around. And maybe that will cut back on some of the trash that appears in the corner over there. If you have not had an opportunity to go down Alley B to see the artwork from Monty, I would advise you to do so. It was really nice. I did go out, I think maybe the same week when she was done by the time it dried. So it's probably been about a week and a half, 2 weeks since I was over there, but it really looks nice. It's on one end and then the other, the birds and then I think the flowers. It really looks better than it did up on the screen.
Yeah.
And I would just like to ask everyone to be safe tomorrow. I know a lot of people are going to be out. I know we all hear the fireworks for at least 2 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
They've been really rough, I think, Saturday.
Yep.
So I got forwarded a couple of pictures of someone's garage that looked like it was WEBN. Seriously, I don't know where or how, but if you want to see fireworks, I do know that Mount Healthy is doing something tonight at 9 o'clock. So just be safe and enjoy your holiday.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Next up is the City Administrator Report. Good evening, Ms. Ike.
Good evening, Mr. Graver, members of council. I wanted to let everyone know, and the mayor took a couple of mine, so let me scroll through here.
You can expand on them.
We just joined the North Cincinnati Safety Council as the city of North College Hill. If we attend 10 of their meetings throughout the calendar year, it enables us to save a 3%, or we get a 3% rebate on our workers' comp rates, which, you know, every little bit helps, I think. So it's good information that they provide through the organization, and so we will have one member of staff attending each of those meetings so that we will qualify for that discount at the year's end. So that is something new.
Where are those meetings held?
They are in Sharonville, I believe, at the fire department
Okay.
typically. Planning Commission meets this Wednesday, and now that they are a full committee again, I think we were missing some members for a while. They will be meeting on the first Wednesday of the month here at the city building. And the third thing I have is a letter from Duke Energy that I received today. I would like to read it so that I don't get any of the information wrong. We will post this both on the city's website, and we will put links to it on our social media pages too, but it is very important for all of the residents in North College Hill because it talks about some inspections that are coming up that will affect you if you're a resident here. So it begins by saying, in the near future, Duke Energy will be performing gas leak and corrosion inspections in your neighborhood. They are required by the U.S. Department of Transportation and necessary for safe natural gas pipeline operations. Duke Energy has arranged for this work to be performed by Southern Cross, Inc. The technicians working for Southern Cross will be going door to door to inspect inside gas piping and metering equipment. So they will ask to come to your home. Customers can call Southern Cross toll-free to schedule an appointment at your convenience. online information, and they give a website. Southern Cross technicians will be identifiable by a Southern Cross picture ID on the outside of the uniform, a visible Duke Energy picture ID on the outside of the uniform, so 2 forms of ID. They will have a contact phone number for a customer to call for verification, and they will be driving a marked Southern Cross vehicle. You should not expect to see technicians in a Duke Energy vehicle. So I was not aware that they would be doing that this summer. So like I said, it will affect all of our residents, and especially if they're coming to door to door. I know that people are wary, about letting strangers inside your house. So if you want to make an appointment so that you have some assurance that the folks showing up are the folks that are supposed to be here, all of that information will be available on the website, so you can schedule that. That is all the information I have. I got this letter today, so I will be happy to take any questions and look into it, because I see members of council already. But I wanted to make sure. I don't know, this letter does not say when they're going to start. So I think that is one of the questions. Is this July? Is it August? When is it? So I'll be certain to look into that. But if we have additional questions, I'll be happy to take them down tonight and then find out and report back. That is all I have.
Mr. President,
Mr. President?
I'll go to the mayor first and then Ms. Zorb.
just a comment. I do recall in the past, they were here several years ago, and you had to make an appointment. They just didn't come unless they came and left something if you didn't make an appointment. And I do believe that there's a certain amount of time that you have to do it in, if I'm not mistaken. They give you like a date, and they say it has to be done by this date. So I do recall that I had to make an appointment for them to come, because my meter is inside of my house when some people's are on the outside.
Ms. Zorb?
I was going to ask if you knew a start date for that. And the reason I was going to ask is because someone posted on Nextdoor, they had a Ring camera of someone walking around with what looked to be a hose and a wand. So I wonder if they already started.
They may have. It was in today's mail. It's dated 6/27, which was just last week. So,
Okay.
Mr. President,
Ms. Blythe?
I had one of those signs posted on my door last week, so I went ahead. I called Duke first to confirm, and then I ended up calling Southern Cross. When I called them, for some reason they couldn't find my name on the list, and it took quite a while. And then the lady looked at last year's list, and it showed that I had an inspection last year. And what customer service told me, that's what she told me, is that I wouldn't need an inspection. She said they tend to do those every 3 years, but that was just one customer service agent from Southern Cross that told me that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Zeki. Any other questions for the administrator? All right, we'll move on to the law director's report. He is not with us this evening, and the finance director's report. She is not with us this evening, so we'll move to call of members, starting with Ms. Dukestein.
I just want to say happy 4th to everyone, and that is all I have tonight.
Thank you. Ms. DeWald?
I just would like to remind people that August 8th is the day to vote for issue 1. No matter how you vote on it, please get out to those polls and cast your vote. That's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Zorb?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Blythe?
Yes, I was out in the neighborhood for 2 different days, and I got some comments from residents. One resident noted that we pay 1.5%. Noted that we pay 1.5%, and he wanted to know if we could have reciprocity down to 1% if we work in another city beyond North College Hill. A second resident, she questioned the track behind the high school, and she wants to know if that track is still open for residents to walk or either run. I guess it's on Bising, the track behind the high school. And then another resident, he asked, he asked, he said, why are you required to get signatures? Nobody wants your jobs anyway. That was in a joking manner. And also, I just saw on Nextdoor, and I'll have to look at it a little bit further. There is a resident, her name is Laureen Zapp, and since February, there's been almost a 20-foot long dumpster in an abandoned home, and she's called code control on multiple instances. And from what she found out, the home has been owned by 2 different owners, but it's been there since February. There was a picture of it. There's trash and junk surrounding the dumpster. And she said the last time she called code control, they literally ignored her. She had no response when she tried to place another order. So I'll try to find that again on Nextdoor, because she seemed highly frustrated that there was no progress. And it does look like an eyesore.
What's
Thank
the address?
I didn't write down the address. That's why I need to look it up again on Nextdoor and send the address to you and Ms. Iki. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blythe. Ms. Bruner?
I just want to say, I want to give kudos to the Rules and Public Policy Committee, and who all contribute to this binder that they came up with. From personal experience, it was a great idea. It was a really good one. I just want to say happy 4th of July.
Thank you, Ms. Bruner. That will bring us up to remarks from the audience. Ms. Mayor, you wouldn't mind helping me out there, would you?
Yeah, if I had my glasses. I'm sorry. Clarence
Easterling.
Easterling, I'm sorry. Chad Carter, Amanda Carter.
All right, so just for protocols for everyone, please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Please start by stating your name and your address, and please make sure you adjust the microphone so that you are speaking into it. Thank you.
And my name is Clarence Easterling. I live at 1619 West Belmar Place. I had talked to Mr. Graver about an email they had gotten about, I guess, the whole repair on West Belmar. The very next day, they were there fixing the hole, so that's been done. I just wanted to know also, is the flooding issue still being reviewed, or is it still in process?
The repair that you saw out there was the first step in that process, so we're
Okay.
hopeful that that will mitigate a lot of what was going on. There are some other steps that we need to take that we are continuing to work on.
Okay.
Yes.
And my next question is how to volunteer for a committee. I'm not ready yet. I just want to know the process. See you?
I have a few
Okay.
that we're looking for willing participants.
Okay. Also, where is Alley B?
Alley A, I can tell you,
Where that mural, that artwork?
it's right behind the North College Hill Bakery.
Okay. the
So,
bakery.
yeah,
Okay.
and I heard you said Scally's. There's 2, so is it Scally's then the bakery?
I think it's that runs that whole.
Yeah.
Oh, I can
So
find it.
I
Yeah,
know
I
I
know what that
crossed
is.
over as well.
Okay. And then also, I just had one individual thing with Ms. Iki about the handicap sign. Do I address that here or with you?
I thought we got that taken care of for you, but if
No.
we did, okay, let's speak after.
Okay. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Easterling. Next, we have Mr. Chad Carter.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Chad Carter, resident at 1521 Clover Knoll Drive. This is my first time coming to a City Hall meeting to address you. And I'm coming tonight because of a matter of concern that has been developing over the last few months on my street on Clover Knoll Drive. I'm coming to you asking for help and need your wisdom, and it is obvious to me tonight, just hearing all of you address the matters of your city, that you care about your city and you care about what's going on here, and that's actually very encouraging to me. to hear you guys address the matters that are presented to you. So I appreciate that. I've been a resident here only for 3 years. When I married my wife, and she lives on Clover Knoll, or lived on Clover Knoll, and I moved here from Indianapolis. And but this matter has become something that can no longer be ignored, and we really do need your help, and we need resolution to this. In the last couple of months alone on Clover Knoll Drive, there have been cars that are going in excess of the speed limit very fast down the road, and it has become a very dangerous situation. My car was totaled by a drug dealer who came flying down the road at an excessive speed. I know he was a drug dealer because of the paraphernalia the police found in the vehicle. Not only did he total my car, he totaled my neighbor's car at the same time. So you can imagine how fast he must have been going to have totaled 2 cars with 1 hit, and then opened his door and fled the scene, leaving his car in the middle of the road. So, you know, let your brain work on that. Obviously, it wasn't his car, or he would have stayed, or we would have been able to track him down. That's just one instance. Things have escalated, and in watching, you know, what happens at night and even during the day, we have witnessed things like drug deals taking place right on our street. We're talking exchange of money, exchange of drug paraphernalia right through a car window. It's continuous, and that's alarming and concerning to me, especially for the teenagers who are purchasing those drugs and then smoking them and taking them right there on the street in broad daylight, in plain sight of all. It has escalated still to the point that now we have, I won't give the addresses, but one of my neighbors has a minor living there that has an ankle monitor. The neighbor across the street has a minor that is wearing an ankle monitor, both allegedly for having carried firearms. And the drug deals continue and just continue on. Now, because they can't leave their home, what are they to do? So what they have chosen to do is put up a basketball goal right there in the street, and they play, we're talking 10 to 20 minors at any given time at all hours of the night. I've got 2 police reports right here that happened on the very same night. I don't know who the first call was or what they responded to, but here's the report for that when all those minors were told to go home. The second call, however, was from me on a Saturday night, Sunday morning at almost 3 o'clock in the morning, outside running through the street, screaming at each other, yelling profanities at each other, going in and out. I saw this with my own eyes, in and out of parked cars that were unlocked on the street. I'm talking in the driver door, out the passenger door, in circles, in and out, in and out, in and out. And it just continues on and on. Now, I'm not opposed to young people getting rid of energy by playing basketball. I think that's a good thing. They should be playing basketball. It keeps them out of trouble. It gets their energy out. It, tightens their game a little bit. And I'm happy for all of that. I got no problem with young people wanting to play basketball. But it's not about basketball on Clover Knoll Drive. It's about a gathering point for minors to engage in drug deals, and it's not safe for them. There's a little baby out there that just runs around in a diaper, sometimes into the street. And if the totaling of my car and my neighbor's car at the same time in one hit is not an indicator that it is not a safe environment, as far as the speeding vehicles coming down, I don't know what is. And so, number one, for the kids out there that say they're playing basketball, but I guarantee you it's more than playing basketball. For all of that that's taking place.
Sorry.
That's okay.
That was the 5-minute timer. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I hope you can hear in my voice the seriousness of this matter, and that it is of great concern to me. Kids ought to play basketball, but they ought to do that on a ball court, not in the middle of the street. So what I'm asking for is resolution as soon as possible, if not tonight. And I want to thank the North College Hill Police Department, because they've made their presence a little more known, and it has helped. So I appreciate that very much. But I'd like to see that basketball go down, because it is not about playing basketball on Clover Knoll Drive. It is about a gathering point for things that shouldn't be happening among minors and young people, and it's not a safe environment for them to be running around in the street.
Dr. Carter.
My totaled car proves that. Yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
Carter, I have a lot of compassion for you. We deal with that where I live. In the last 5 or 6 years, FBI has been called twice with a SWAT team and drug dealing, and we watch it at the corner all the time. Kids gather, they don't all live there. The cars, so it's men that come in and they go in the house. I never see what they do, but they park their cars and go in there. And just recently, 10:30 at night, I heard gunshots, and here somebody came by and shot their cars up. And it's like, I don't know. So I'm going to tell you, we fought them. We contacted the police with every issue. We tried to get license plate numbers, and the police did a very good job in trying to come out and catch them, but, you know, that's impossible.
Yeah.
What eventually happened is the basketball net hung so far, because every truck that came by would hit it. And finally, a truck came by, and it knocked its mirror off, and he filed a complaint, and that was bye-bye basketball net.
Well, this is my formal filing of the complaint.
Yes.
And there's so much happening. And again, the North College Hill Police Department have been very helpful in the situation, but it continues on. If I have to go out at almost 3 o'clock in the morning and tell minors who have no parental or adult oversight to go home, to get out of the street, and they look back at me and curse me out and refuse to go, that's when I have no point but to call the police. So there's a lack of respect. And there's a whole lot of issues there. But the bottom line is, it's not a safe place to have a basketball goal on the street, and I'd like to see that removed right away. Perhaps you can enlighten me on what city ordinance is concerning that, or what can be done to remove that ball goal, and to whatever. I would be happy to help, whatever the situation would be. If there's an alternative place for them to play ball or whatever, I'll be glad to help with that. But it doesn't need to be on the street. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carter.
Thank you, Dr. Carter.
Thank you.
Next, we have Amanda Carter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I appreciate you all letting me speak tonight. As my husband said, we live at 1521 Clover Knoll Drive. And as he has spoken to, the last 2 months have been quite challenging on our street. He's a lot more tempered than I am. I spend a lot of time outside working in my yard in the front and back. And I recently made a post on one of the social media sites as well as Nextdoor with a picture of a group of boys. Not all of them live there, but a group of boys that were surrounding a car, and there was cars behind it. And I shared this to show that traffic is being obstructed by having this basketball goal in the street and by these kids playing in the street. When I was little, I know that was a long time ago, we were taught not to play in the street. Now it seems to be commonplace. And as I watch my neighbors come to and fro every day, I see that their anger and frustration is mounting to the point of which there are horns blaring literally all day long. Most of the time it's because the boys refuse to move. I've seen them block driveways and refuse to let my neighbors out of their driveway. I've seen them throw a basketball at a car that honked at them, as well as just cursing them up and down. And as he said at the very beginning, we had a lot of compassion for the situation, thinking that they were just kids playing in the street, playing basketball, because that was their option. But after about the first week, it became something so much more than them just playing ball in the street. And because I spend a lot of time outside, I've taken the brunt of a lot of attacks, especially since we had to call the police that night. The things that have been said to me are honestly things I never thought I would hear. My daughter's here, so I really don't want to share too much, but I can't imagine saying these types of things to even my worst enemy. And so to be out in my yard and just watering, doing the same thing that I've done every other day for the last almost 10 years that I've lived there, has now become so uncomfortable that there are often times where I have to talk myself into going out the front door or out the back door because it's happening in the back of our house as well. So we're here to just ask that a resolution come to this. It would be ideal, of course, to get the basketball hoop off the street and get these kids out of the street. I wrote some facts down. I don't know how much time I have, so I'm going to be quick about this, but I looked this up before I left the house, and the CDC reports that there are 400 children that are killed every year by hit-and-run accidents. There are 50 kids a day that are run over by a car backing up, and getting hit by a vehicle is the third leading cause of death in children under the age of 15. Now you couple these statistics with kids that we literally see smoking marijuana in the street, who are not aware of their surroundings because they are under the influence of drugs. Some of them also wear ski masks, so they're not identifiable. And you have these situations happening right in front of your house, which I've never had these, I never have had this happen before. And I have made the post to make people aware that would be traveling on Clover Knoll Drive that this was an issue, not the boys playing, but just to make my neighbors aware that, just to try to prevent incident from occurring, because it is only a matter of time before somebody gets hit by a car. And no matter what they have said to me, I refuse to not stand in the gap for them, because I know should something happen, all of those kids would run and flee, and there would be nobody there to help that child. And I just want you all to make it a matter as if it were happening in front of you, in front of your house, or it was your child that was out there playing. And yeah, so thank you for listening to my heart.
Ms. Carter, I
Yes, ma'am.
understand, and I'm so sorry you're going through this. It's not a short process. Because I'm vice chair of public safety, I'll make some contacts with Ms. Ike and the police department and see if we can get a better resolve than what we even had, because we had neighbors calling it in all the time, and echoes everything that you've said.
Thank
So,
you.
Mr. President,
Madam Mayor.
Ms. Carter,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a little heavy just listening to you for several reasons, but no one should have to endure that.
Exactly.
Oh, it's bothersome to me. I live on Foxwood. I think the majority of you know that. So I ride past there, and maybe I don't get that because they know my face from the school.
Okay.
But I do, and I don't want to, if no one wants to answer this, is the majority of the kids, are they from the house where the father passed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Because I do have a contact there, and I don't know if someone said it, but you have a very young adult there raising kids, so.
There's a male there now.
Now?
An adult
Okay.
male, yeah. He only comes out at night, but
Okay.
there's an adult male there.
And to me and Ms. Zor probably tried to make eye contact, and I was saying to Ms. Ike, I believe, but I cannot remember that there's an ordinance where the basketball rim should not be at the street. Now, it was on the left side, and when I came down the street, I didn't see it anymore, but I missed it. And I
It's
see it's on the right side now, but I have not seen anybody playing at it. So I'm like, when are they doing it? But you answered that question tonight. They're doing it. And when you came, there's also an ordinance, so that you remember, they have a curfew. And in the summer, I believe it's midnight. It's midnight. So if you have to call the police every time, the parent, and then we have that parental ordinance that when the kids are continually breaking the law, then the parent is primarily responsible. Those kids who aren't supposed to be there, they probably live wherever they live, which is not on Clover Knoll. When you show up to their home, that's something for their parents. So we just, however bothersome it is, you just have to continue to call the police until we can figure out if that ordinance does in fact exist with the basketball rim. But that does need to be moved immediately. Just because I don't see it or somebody else that lives back there doesn't see it, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Like I said, when I pulled on the street, I'm looking to the left. I honestly am one of those people who have stopped and said, "You don't see me coming? Why are you standing in the street? Move." Now, I didn't get the same response as you. They just sort of like look at me like I'm crazy, but get out of the street.
Yeah.
Get out of the street. And I've told them, because I'm pulling back, I've actually told some of the kids that I know that don't live over there, why are you over here? When I know they're busybodies,
Yeah.
why are you over here? Shouldn't you be at home? Go to the library, So maybe I shouldn't, but I can foresee, that's trouble. And I have not, and my heart goes out to you. And absolutely, we will. I know council will. I will. We will do whatever, because it's not particularly right in front of my house, but it is.
Yeah.
But it is. I have drivers in my home. If they had inadvertently hit somebody, then whose fault is that?
Right.
I
The
have.
thing that's really scary is there's like a toddler that follows one of those boys around.
I've never seen the baby, but
Yeah, the baby is out there, and we drive it every single day, all day long.
and sometimes I can go down South Ridge, so I don't necessarily go up Clover Knoll, but I can go down South Ridge so I would miss it.
It's scary because that baby's following him everywhere, so that baby's going out in the street as well.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald.
I just wanted to add super quick, Ms. Carter, it's not a short issue. It's going to take a while. I know that there's city restrictions on how that right-of-way property should be used. Shouldn't be used for advertising signs, political signs, and certainly not used for basketball nets. No matter where that net is hanging, it doesn't belong in that right-of-way at all. The police have come by many a time where I live. They actually took it down. Public Works came by several times and took it down, put it in their driveway, and they just keep bringing it right back out. So it's bold, and like I said, the only thing that finally settled the issue is one of the FedEx trucks got its mirror knocked off.
Yeah.
So, but I will
Well,
make some contacts.
I think that would be the least of my concern is if a car lost a mirror in this situation. I'm very grieved, and my heart is very burdened thinking about one of them getting hit.
I understand.
Or a driver possibly having to live with that, because I can't imagine what that would do to a person, because nobody obviously wants to hit a child, and this situation isn't just about the basketball hoop. I mean, that street is there's a lot of traffic. I mean, you can sit there for 2 hours and see the amount of traffic that travels on there, but then you think about his car being totaled and the neighbor's car being totaled and just how fast people drive on that street. And it's really it's only a matter of time. And I do not want to see a child
Absolutely.
hit by a car. So thank you guys
Thank
for
you, Ms.
hearing me.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein.
I just wanted to
Sorry,
say,
thank you.
a friend of mine actually forwarded me your Facebook post.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I had been tentatively driving past to bring that up in the safety meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And I do have it here.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I just want to say your concerns outside of today were heard.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
it's a myriad of issues, though.
Yeah,
So it's bigger than the basketball court,
yeah.
and there's lots
But
of
that
steps.
feels like the first thing, because if those kids don't get out of the street, I mean, there are people in this world that would hit, I hate to say that, but they would hit somebody and not even look in their rearview mirror. And I don't want to see that happen. There are a lot of angry people, in the world, and I just don't want to see anybody hurt. So all the other issues coupled with it, yes, I understand, but this has got to be the first thing. Just getting them safe, keeping them safe as possible. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Deborah Nesbitt.
Good evening to everyone.
Hi.
My name is Deborah Nesbitt. I live at 1466 Clover Knoll. And what I have to say is pretty much what they said. I've lived on my mother's lived on Clover Knoll for 26 years now. And the first thing I knew about the basketball hoop, it was not long after school let out. A couple of kids playing basketball in the street. I was annoyed, but I wanted to be reasonable. They're kids, they're out of school, they need a place to play. Maybe we could build them a basketball court, but this is where they have for right now. And I thought, okay, this is not a big deal. So it was just 2 kids at first. And then as you drive down the street, it's more kids. It's 4 kids, it's 6 kids. It's a lot of kids, and they're not quick to move, and then they're very disrespectful. They're very menacing, and they say, hey, this is not a good place to play, we're fine. And then, like, what are you going to do if you don't, if they don't move out of the way? You're not going to hit them. And the basketball hoop, to me, is the symbol of all of it. That this is where it started. It wasn't an issue before the basketball hoop. It hangs over the street. First they had it on one side, then they would park a car under it, and then somehow they convinced the lady, I guess, to move it to the other side of the street. So it's still there, and they're still playing there. At first I hadn't seen the baby, but I have seen the baby. And it's odd. Like, it's just, why are we continuing to allow this? I have 3 children. I've had one daughter graduate from North College Hill. She's 30. Then I have my 2 adopted nephews. They're 10 and 6. They're heathens. They're not angels by any stretch of the imagination. They're horrible.
10 and 6, what do you want?
Yeah, but no, they're awful. I mean, my neighbor caught them throwing glass bottles at a stop sign. I took them out there with a broom. I made them apologize to our neighbors. They weren't allowed to go outside for like 3 weeks. Like, that's how it should be handled. But we live in an age of, don't say anything to my kids, don't touch my kids. That's not me, but the basketball hoop needs to come down, and somebody needs to tell these parents or whoever is responsible for these children that their behavior is not acceptable. This is not the community we want. We have been a street of being respectful to each other and kind to each other. I have never seen this. Never. Not with any kids. Even with the little heathens that live next door to me, they're awful too. But me and their mom, we have some sort of agreement that, if our kids misbehave, we'll talk to each other. We don't really like each other, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We're neighbors, and we're going to make it work. Right. These people are not committed to making it work. They don't care. They don't care about us. They don't care about the neighborhood. They want to do what they want to do, when they want to do it, how they want to do it, and that's not okay with me. So I have called police. I have made police reports. She's a lot nicer than me. I don't care if they get hit, except for the little baby. Like, this is what you asked for. So that's just how I feel. If you're not going to be respectful to me, I'm not really all that. But somebody's going to hurt them. And in this day and age of gun violence, somebody's really going to hurt them. It's just a matter of time. So it needs to be addressed. I don't know what you all planning. The gate. Oh, that's a whole nother issue. I'm gonna let you address that one. I just want the basketball hoops to come down. I don't want to be afraid to drive down my own street. And I am. After 26 years, I'm afraid to drive down my own street. I play a card game online where you can actually talk to other people. And there's a lady, my kids used, as far as like the kids running around too, they should be able to communicate with each other. They should be able to run around the neighborhood. My daughter had the run of North College Hill. They walked from here all the way up to the Mount Healthy Dairy Bar. Like, they should be able to get together, play in the yards. When they the little kids run behind my house, I let it go because they need space to play. But this is not what they're doing. So I was playing space with some people online, and I was saying, my kids, there's a candy lady on our street. She was like, I didn't know you lived in the hood. I was like, I don't. She was like, if you have a candy lady on your street, you live in the hood. And 2 weeks later, the basketball hoop went up. So it's a problem. And I hope, I never come to city council meetings, sorry. I should be more involved, but I have 3 kids, I'm tired. So, but I support what you all do. I like the new plans for the new city. Sometimes silence is support. If somebody's not saying, you're not doing a good job, then you're doing a good job. So I think you're doing a great job. I would just like to see this addressed from my street and my neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
President.
Mr. President?
Ms. DeWald.
Ms. Nesbitt, don't apologize for not being here. We understand you have children to raise and you've got a busy life. We're here because we're chained to it. But I do want to remind you that it's not a quick fix. But in all the issues you have talked about, I've lived it, and we finally, like I said, that truck is what did it, which is sad. Because all the times that police officers came by, all the time FBI came by, and nothing stopped them. Nothing stopped them.
I don't know if they know how unhappy we are outside of the police. Like that, for them, that's a game. But I don't know if we need to contact Hamilton County Task Force. I don't know if we need to make it a bigger issue, like, hey, you're getting a letter from the city, like, hey, this is being addressed not just with the people on your street, but with us as a city. Like, somebody needs to be told, and somebody needs to address it with the kids.
Yes, sir.
This needs a quick fix.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it needs,
I'm not denying that at all. I'm just saying I don't want to have high hopes that it's going to be done tomorrow.
Oh, no, I just want to know that somebody hears us.
Yes.
And that, if nothing else, the basketball hoop needs to come down.
Absolutely.
And that's it. That's all I have to say.
Ms.
My
Ord.
goal is to contact Chief Schran on Wednesday. I won't do it on a holiday. And try to get him to contact me and that we can sit down and have a meeting with Ms. Ike and move forward. Because it's horrible to live through.
I'm sorry. Ms. Nesbitt, I'm sorry I tried to catch you before you walked away. Would you care to elaborate on the candy lady? Is that candy? Candy? Or candy?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
She doesn't sell it.
Like a Snickers candy, or
she
is
doesn't
it?
sell
Oh, yes,
it.
she does.
She sells it now?
Yes, she does.
Okay.
So, because my kids are always like, can I have $1? Can I have $2? Can I have 50 cents? They want to go down there and buy candy. So that's not a big deal to me. That's normal. You want to buy ice balls in the summer, and that's just normal.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't
Okay.
something else in disguise.
Oh, no.
no,
It's
no,
actual
no.
candy. That's cool.
That's where I was going.
Mike
I
and
apologize.
Ike's, Now and Later's, Jolly Ranchers.
Perfect. Thank you.
She used to be an excellent baker, too. I don't know if she still bakes, but
Popcorn balls, they're delicious.
is that what she does? Okay.
Any other questions before I go sit down?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have more signed up there, Madam Mayor?
Yes, you do. You have Mark Frank.
Good evening, council people.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
I'm Mark Frank. I live at 1467 Clover Knoll Drive, and I'd like to reflect on what the good doctor said, and it's a nuisance. There's trash everywhere. The kids won't get out of the street. I mean, I've been here, I guess, 10 years roughly, and it's a nuisance. They could put the hoop in their backyard or in the driveway off the street, because like you say, well, when we came here today, there's a stroller in the street, one of the little umbrella strollers, and I seen a little baby in a pamper today, walking with the boy with the little twisties in his hair. And I've seen him not in the middle of the street, but he's in the street, you know. And like I say, it ain't gonna take nothing for him to run between two parked cars and get run over. And then what's gonna happen then? You know, they're gonna look at the driver, like, you know, because people fly them down that street. They put the speed bump on the next block down, which is good. And then I live at the corner where the stop sign is. They must take stop sign down. Nobody stops at that stuff. No. Just put a yield sign or put nothing, because nobody stops. Nobody. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then that gate here at the Metz's house, they've chained that shut, and I've contacted the city. They did email me back talking about, well, there's nothing we can do because we have nothing in writing. You know, because it's been open since 1968. There's a sign up there that says, thank you, Don and Nancy Metz, because all the kids that lived back here would go to Clover Knoll here at school, and they left that gate open. And actually the city fixed some of the concrete about 8 years ago. But this new renter, he locked it shut, and the landlord, he don't pay the rental registration, because I looked on Otter's page. He don't pay the $150 rental fee. And there's one across the street that don't pay it. I mean, there's so many people that own these properties that rent them that don't pay that fee, and you can go right on Otter's page and look it up. I mean, you guys could get so much money between that stop sign by my house and the rental fee that they could pay probably all you guys' salary. I mean, I've known Mary Jo. I grew up with her. I've lived here probably 40 years, off and on, you know. But I mean, it's just, and them kids, it's ridiculous. They'll just stand there and look at you like, what? I ain't moving, you know. And then as soon as you hit one, who's gonna pay for my car? You know, I'm not as nice as her. I don't care, because these ain't babies. These are like 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids. Yeah. So, I mean, if they jump out front and get hit, sorry about your luck. You know, hey, is your mom and daddy going to pay for my car? Because I ain't putting it on my insurance, you know. But, yeah, that basketball hoop needs to come down immediately. Put it back in the back of the driveway, you know. And then, like I say, they had it on the right side, and then somebody parked the car under it. So they said, oh, we'll get smart. We'll put it on the other side where you can't park. And they put it right in, not her house, but the neighbor's house. And it's in the right of way. And I think that's probably a renter, the neighbor. And she probably don't say nothing. And like I say, it's just trash everywhere. Clothes, you see sweatshirts, and I mean, it's a joke. And the police need to take it down like immediately. It needs to be addressed.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ms. Nesbitt, we cannot put a cap on that, on how many rentals you can have in the area. If we'd have done that long before all this rental business exploded, we'd have probably had leverage, but now it would just be discrimination.
But like I say, there's the one up here at the Metz's house. They don't pay the rental fee, and I looked across the street. They don't pay it. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it's $150 per each house, and there's probably 4 dozen houses in North College Hill that are not paying it.
Excuse me one moment. Mayor or Ms. Iki, isn't Rita responsible for those?
No, it's not Rita. The folks who have not paid the rental registration, we are able to put that fee, assess the fee to their property taxes.
To the owner's taxes?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, like I say, that southwest quadrant of North College Hill, they just put a fence around it. I mean, it's sorry, Mary Jo. I'm talking about like from the Cordova, between Simpson and Cordova, that guy's got a junkyard up there, a literal junkyard. And I talked to somebody at work, she said, oh, we find his mother pays the fee, or the fine all the time, just so she don't have to live there. He's got like refrigerators in the front yard. It's a literal junkyard.
Oh,
and
gosh.
you probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do.
His mother pays the fine all the time, but still, I mean, it doesn't change it. I mean, they need to do something about it. It's horrible. But that's all I got. But the main thing is the basketball hoop and the gate. That's my two main concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frank.
And we have Melissa and Kelvin Edwards.
I got that. I'm Kelvin Edwards. I live at 1465 Clover Knoll. I usually stay out of the business, like with the basketball court. I'm a kid, I'm from a different neighborhood. I've lived here, 13, 14 years. You know, you see kids basketball, but the basketball court to me is not the main subject. It's one of them kids gonna get hit. I drive trucks, sometimes I have to use the restroom. I drive a truck home, use the restroom, come out, drive my car. It's not the point that they're playing basketball. It's not even the point that whereas the kids wanna get out your way. What they do is they try to judge the distance of how wide your car is. That's the space you get. So if I come down the street, instead of them getting out the way where I can come, one of them stand like this and the other one is stand like this. So they judging. So you basically, when you go by, you're going to clip one. Now, my car, my mirrors are short. My truck, my mirrors are out there. It's been times I've came by, I think one of them going to get their head knocked off by the mirror. So it's not as far as the basketball court, it's a safety for them. One of them kids get killed, their parents come out, or they get somebody who comes down, y'all read the news, y'all watch the news. It's gonna be so much as they come down and get out, hey man, why don't y'all move out the street? And they gonna disrespect them like they disrespect them, and it's not gonna be, I'm just gonna walk away. One of them gonna do something to them. So then we got a dead kid over a basketball court that won't get out the street because when the parents say something to him or somebody say something to him, there's no adult that comes out and says, hey, well, let's try to work this out. Right now, let's stuck with the kids. Do you want to get disrespected by the kids? Do you want to hurt a kid? The baby is, I didn't see the baby till we was riding down one day and the baby's in a diaper. It don't matter what day I've seen the baby, 5 or 6 times, every time in a diaper, right there by the street. So, but they're basically, they're not just standing there. Sometimes they'll give me a space to go through and they're still dribbling the ball. They're dribbling and act like, so if they lose control of the ball, they dent somebody's car. Somebody might not getting their car dented, the basketball when they should have stopped and do something to these kids. My point is I don't care about the ball. I just don't want nobody to do nothing to these kids. You know, right. That's the main thing. I mean, they saying it's gonna take some time. The police might need to go there 2 or 3 times a day. I know we got undercover cars with lights on them. Drive one of them down there. They don't recognize this as a police car and watch what they do. Then you got a case to get for them. But if something has to be done, tomorrow's a holiday. How many people, let's be honest, there's gonna be fireworks, they're gonna have barbecue, they're gonna be drinking. Mm-hmm. These kids out there playing basketball, dribbling the ball. The guy shouldn't be driving. He had about a half a vodka or gin or whatever, and he hit one of these kids. Yeah. So it's more than just the basketball court. Right now, it's a safety thing because when I come down the street, they're dribbling. They're just giving me a space. Now, I drive for a living, so I can get through that space. But I know I got older people that live there, 70 and 80 driving, teenagers, and they come through there, and they'll clip one of them and don't realize it. It's really a real safety problem.
I'm sure.
You know, the basketball court I could care less about. I'm more of, if they would get out the street when a car comes by, but they won't. They think they know a Honda from a Lincoln. You know, I'm grown, and sometimes, you know, just that little distance of the mirror catching you can get hurt real bad.
Sure.
So it's something that we really need to step up and get on. It's been too long. I want to say something to them, but you never know. Because like I say, I'm going to be honest. 2 of them got ankle bracelets on.
Right.
And I feel sorry because they want to try to get their pent-up energy from being on house arrest, and they out in front of the house. What do you do? It's something else. It's a next level of if they was playing basketball and then they were just moving out the street or they was making noise at night. What it is it's dangerous for them kids, and it's dangerous for the baby that's out there. So I understand you saying it's going to take a while, but this is something that needs to be stepped up right now. You know, right now there's nothing more important than we already lose enough kids out here to gun violence and all kind of violence out here, what's going on. We don't need to lose something that we could prevent right now as grown people for kids who don't think that, oh, they tougher than cars. When I was their age, I thought I was tougher, nothing beat me. I would never, now that I'm old, I fall on the ground, I don't know if I'm gonna get back up. So, I mean, we have to do something because I think it's gonna be a hazard, especially tomorrow is the 4th. people drinking, and if they playing hoop, somebody's gonna get hurt.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I certainly appreciate all of you and your neighbors coming out. I think it's a wonderful sign of commitment and community. We all need to experience that, and you don't find it everywhere. But we are not taking this lightly. And like I said, I will get with Ms. Icky and the police chief and see what we can get done as soon as possible.
Mr. President?
Who was that, Ms. Bruner?
Yes.
Has anyone spoken to the parents or someone in the
Parents
house?
out there, I don't know if they
Or
live there,
whoever is
but
governing the house? or-
when you talk to them, it's like either you stupid as a driver, or the kids, like she said, the kids look like you retarded, like you ain't said nothing. Sometimes they don't even respond. You be like, hey man, just get out the street. They look at you like, what you gonna do, bruh? We gonna jump you. You know what I mean?
And then the parents are standing there watching them.
Okay.
They're standing there watching them. They obviously either don't know what they're doing is a problem, or don't care.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I was gonna say, I actually, like I told you, I have actually driven down the street because I wanted to, after I saw your post, I wanted to kind of gauge what the issue is. And it doesn't, I apologize in advance if it feels minimalizing because I'm not purposely doing that, but are the kids obstinate when you talk to them? Because when I came down, when I came down the street, they scattered, they moved. But I hear you all saying that's not the case, that
That's
they
not the
don't do
case.
that.
That's not the case.
Okay.
The more kids are out there, the more compact it is. And I'm gonna be honest. All this started, people, I don't talk real much about everything, but all this started because most of them kids I used to see walk down the street. What they used to do is go up in Pies Park.
Yep.
But since the new renter there, he unlocked the gate. So do they want to walk down the Hamilton Avenue to Galbraith and then walk all the way down here to the park when they used to be able to cut through there and go play on the monkey? You can see 16-year-old kids playing on the monkey bars.
Right.
I'd rather them go play on the monkey bars than play on the street. So they got energy, but they don't nobody want to walk there. So I think that's kind of stopping everything is with the gate being closed and them not having access back here to the park to play on the monkey bars. And then they just figure out, well, instead of walking down the street, we'll just play hoop right here. Instead of go playing in the park or tossing the football or basketball or whatever back here, why walk there? I can do it in my street.
It's not safe. Like, they're close enough to Hamilton Avenue. Even if they were up on our end on the circle, which I don't want, by the way, but even if they were up there, it still wouldn't be as bad as where they are. They're right by it. So people are coming off of Hamilton Avenue. You got DoorDash,
Right.
everybody deliver. Everybody's not from our street. And
Exactly.
Everybody's not gonna be understanding of what's going on. And a lot of people are like, well, they're just kids and they're just playing. And I'm just pointing out, I don't feel like that. I want it to go down. I don't want them to play there anymore. I read in the post, somebody else, not her, but somebody else on a comment, that I said, well, we just need to build them some basketball courts. Somebody said they did have basketball hoops up, but they brought so much violence and so much drama that the people took them down. So it's not a matter of finding them another place to play. This needs to stop.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards.
Thank you.
Is that all we have? All right. Folks, thank you for, obviously, your concern bringing that to us. We will be working on this diligently. But we do need to move on in our meeting, so we will move to legislation.
Mr. President, did Ms. Edwards? No, you're good? Okay, because she has signed in
Okay.
as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, legislation. First up on our legislation, we have a third reading for resolution number 13-2023, a resolution approving the update of the solid waste management plan of the Hamilton County Solid Waste Management District.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 13, 2023.
Mr. President?
Ms. DeWald?
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Zorb, second by Ms. DeWald to adopt resolution 13-2023. Any discussion? I'll call the roll. Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. DeWald?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Brunner?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Next up, third reading, resolution number 14-2023, a resolution authorizing the city to execute a contract for reconstruction of Joseph Court and Dodgen Court in the city of North College Hill.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I move to adopt.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I will second that motion.
Motion from Ms. DeWald, second from Ms. Zorb to adopt resolution number 14-2023. Any discussion? I will call the roll. Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. DeWald?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Brunner?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Next up is third reading for resolution number 15-2023, a resolution authorizing the city to execute a contract for reconstruction of Bobolink Drive in the city of North College Hill.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I motion to adopt.
Mr. President, I will second.
Motion by Ms. DeWald, second by Ms. Zorb to adopt resolution 15-2023. Any discussion? I will call the roll. Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. DeWald?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Brunner?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I wanted to bring a point up about Resolution 15. I wanted to do it beforehand. It doesn't matter. We were given 2 copies of Resolution 15, and council should look at the 15 that we just passed tonight because it is complete in paperwork and information. The first one we received didn't have everything attached to it. So if you mark your copies first and second copy, we just adopted the second copy of Resolution 15.
Thank you. Next item of legislation is a first reading for ordinance number 7, 2023, an ordinance providing for the issuance of a principal amount not to exceed $285,000 of lease obligations by the city of North College Hill, Ohio, for the purpose of acquiring a Braun Chief XL Type 3 169-inch 2024 Ford E450 ambulance and declaring an emergency.
It's
Mr.
easy for you to
President.
say.
But
Ms. DeWald?
I move to adopt.
It's a first reading. You cannot.
Oh, shoot.
Mr. President,
We need to get back to
You skipped one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
ordinance
okay.
6.
Mr.
That's what confused me.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right.
Big deal.
Sorry.
Doesn't matter, you read it.
Okay.
My apologies. All right. I will
Skip.
strike the first reading I just did. Third reading. This is the final third reading. Sorry I missed it. Ordinance number 6, 2023, an ordinance to assess the costs of private lead line replacement for certain participating property owners and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald.
I move to adopt.
Mr. President, I will second.
All right, we have a motion from Ms. DeWald, second from Ms. Zorb, to adopt ordinance number 6, 2023. Any discussion? I will call the roll. Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. DeWald?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Brunner?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. All right. Next up is first reading for ordinance number 7, 2023, an ordinance providing for the issuance of a principal amount not to exceed $285,000 of lease obligations by the city of North College Hill, Ohio, for the purpose of acquiring a Braun Chief XL Type 3 169-inch 2024 Ford E450 ambulance and declaring an emergency. Was that better, Ms. Zorb?
It was perfect the first time. That's a lot.
All right. Next item of legislation is a first reading for ordinance number 8, 2023, an ordinance authorizing all actions necessary to effect a governmental natural gas aggregation program with opt-out provisions pursuant to Section 4929.26 Ohio Revised Code, directing the Hamilton County Board of Elections to submit a ballot question to the electors and declaring an emergency. I do have a question, Ms. Zeki. When is the ballot deadline?
August 9th.
It's August the 9th. Obviously, we can't do anything tonight.
Mr. President?
Ms. Zorb?
I don't want to jump the gun, but I was hopeful to, in new business, perhaps set up some special meetings.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
All right, and then the last item of legislation is a first reading for ordinance number 9-2023, an ordinance authorizing all actions necessary to effect a governmental electric aggregation program with opt-out provisions pursuant to Section 4928.20 Ohio Revised Code, directing the Hamilton County Board of Elections to submit a ballot question to the electors and declaring an emergency. This one also fits the August 9 ballot deadline. All right, that is all we have for legislation. Next on the agenda is further remarks from the audience as it pertains to legislation. I don't see anybody wanting to say anything. So we will move to old business. Anyone have any old business? Hearing none, we'll move to new business. Ms. Zorb?
Yes, Mr. President. There are, I believe, 3 pieces of legislation that are a high priority and need to be passed, or at a minimum voted on sooner than later. So I was hopeful that council could get their calendars out and we could devise a plan to have a couple special meetings. I realize tomorrow's Independence Day, but I don't know if anyone has any opportunity on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday this week. I would speculate that they would be rather quick meetings.
Mr. President,
Ms. DeWald?
I'm available for the 5th, 6th.
Is anyone not available this coming Wednesday or Thursday?
I'm not.
Ms.
I'm going out
Dukestein
of-
is not.
I'm out of town. I don't come back till the 12th.
Mr. President,
Ms.
I'm
Brenner?
available.
Ms. Blythe, are you available?
I'm good. I think so. I don't have my calendar with me.
Both nights? 5th and 6th?
I think so.
Because we're only going to have 4 members.
Yeah, that would be at least 4.
My calendar.
So we could set one for 15 minutes later.
Hold on.
Go ahead, Ms. Zorb.
We need to have 5 people here because they have an emergency clause on them.
Oh,
That's
You have
right.
to have 5
Oh.
people to pass it.
Is Erica going to be here?
I do believe
What
that
about
she's out
martial
of
law?
town, is what I understood. I'm not sure about Ms. Alexander, why she's not here, but I think Ms. Underwood is on vacation. What about the 13th?
What day of the week
Okay.
is that?
It's Thursday next week.
we're looking at a deadline of August 9th.
We
Correct.
can just do this, I'm sorry, Mr. President.
President?
I had Ms. Dukestein first.
Is, because the deadline is in August, do you guys want to couple it with the next finance meeting on the 17th? Since we'll probably all be here.
Ms. Blythe?
I am out the 11th through the 18th. I'm not available
Okay.
due to vacation.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
considering we might be running thin on attendance, I would strongly urge us to at least have 2 meetings scheduled. The first one, as long as we have a quorum, we can have the readings. And the next one, we would have to have
Have 5.
5 people.
We could still We could still pass it, we just wouldn't have the emergency clause, right?
But
Which doesn't help, because that's
That
30
doesn't-
days,
yeah.
right? So we have to have 5. to
Even in
pass
the
it.
third reading? Wow.
For
Yes,
an
you have to
For an-
have-
For an emergency,
Uh-huh.
yes.
Yeah.
yes. Does anyone have Miss Alexander's number in there? Can you text her real quick to see if she could make any of that?
Which day?
If possible, the 5th and 6th this week. Wait, no, that still doesn't get us.
5th and 6th
Sorry.
is out.
We could have one of them,
Okay, yes, we could.
and we would not need her this week. We would only need her
For the second.
for the,
17th,
yes.
if that's where, the way we go.
Mr. Graver.
Ms. Eke?
With regard to ordinance number 7/2023 on the ambulance lease, that rate is only held till this Friday. So if it does not get passed, it's fine. Just understand that the financing will be more expensive.
Okay.
Right. So is there any way we can get 5 of us together? What about?
Mr. Steen, what's your schedule
Out of
the rest of
town?
this week?
I'm going out of town.
Like
When?
tomorrow? Like when?
Not tomorrow, but I'm not coming tomorrow. Sorry.
But this is so important. When do you go out of town, may I ask?
I leave.
Never mind, we shouldn't put that on the airway, I'm sorry. Is Erica reachable at this point? No, she's
She's out of town.
out of town.
What's going on Wednesday? Oh, we're trying to find out if Ms. Alexander can show up.
I thought you didn't need her Wednesday. You wanted me to ask her about the 17th.
They're setting a deadline for the financing on the fire
It has to be done
equipment.
by
It's
this
Friday.
And what was the count for Wednesday night for this end of the table?
Who was available Wednesday?
We all are.
So we got 4, we just need, so we don't know if Miss Alexander's out of town?
I do not know.
Okay.
If Miss Alexander could make it this week, we could make all 3 of these,
Right.
or
we get it
all
done
3 of
in
these
one
passed
meeting.
this week.
Right now, we know we can get 4 here on Wednesday, so do we want to set that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
7 p.m.
Maybe if
Is that the 5th?
someone suggested 2 back-to-back meetings, if she can come.
Yeah, if she's there, we'll just double up. So, it's not like we haven't canceled something at the last minute. So maybe we should set up 2 meetings for that night. She's not responded yet?
Not yet, but I
Okay.
just sent it because I was also adding there on the Wednesday because I had initially asked her about the 17th. I just sent another text message clarifying that I was asking her about 7/5.
We haven't made that determination yet. Is there a time that's better or worse for you?
6:30
Well-
or 7 is best for me because I'll be at work all day.
I could possibly do the 5th, but I would have to check with my oldest daughter and move some things around. But I would not be able to answer that tonight.
I'd also
If you
like to
could, that would help
remember,
us, because then we could suspend readings also. Sorry.
Planning Commission meets Wednesday at 4:45. So they'll
Oh.
be done by 5:45. So
Okay.
if we scheduled something for 6, this room will be open and available.
Okay, she's not answering.
Okay. Then I think we should set something up for the 6th,
Or the 5th,
I mean, the 5th.
Wednesday, 7/5. You said 6:30 you could do, Ms.?
She
Blythe?
says,
Oh, wait a minute, we have an answer.
she says that she absolutely can do the 17th. What time on the 5th?
6:30.
6:30.
6:30?
For 10 minutes.
So if we have 6, we could suspend readings
And we would
and
only
knock
need
that
one
out
meeting.
in one meeting.
Exactly.
But if we don't have 6, what's the backup plan then?
We still need 5 people.
We need 5 people, but we
We
need
could,
2
we could have,
meetings.
we could have back-to-back meetings.
Okay, so do we want to schedule a second meeting for Wednesday, 7/5?
Yes,
Yes.
At what time?
let's say 6:45.
Okay, so special meeting Wednesday, July 5th at 6:30 with a followed by a second special meeting on Wednesday, 7/5 at 6:45.
So let's go with the, I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Please, Ms. Dukestein.
Let's go ahead with the 5th. If she can't, then I will make sure that I rearrange my time. I have to take my kids.
The perfect answer would be 6. If we
Ms.
can get
Blythe.
6 people here, we can get it all done.
She can't get here at 6, Ms. Blythe. Then you say
She's saying,
6:30.
she's saying 6
humans.
people.
Oh,
So
I'm
we
sorry.
have,
Not 6 PM.
we currently have 2 special meetings scheduled for Wednesday.
She said she can do 6.
5th.
She said she can do 7/5 at 6:30.
Okay.
Perfect.
So at 6:30, and that will be followed up by a second one at 6:45 if we do not have 6. If we have 6, we can suspend readings and do it in one meeting. Ms. Eke, can you take care of postings for that? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so just to reiterate, special meeting Wednesday, 7/5 at 6:30. Special meeting Wednesday, July 5th at 6:45.
Same day.
Thank you, everyone.
Mr.
Any other new business?
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I wanted to address the smoke shop here in North College Hill. So I had initially heard from attending the school board meetings, one of the board members that made me aware that the smoke shop is allegedly serving children with vape materials and CBD, the candies and stuff. So, I mean, I had mentioned it to Mayor, but I didn't actually know where it was. And then my son informed me that his friends purchased products. So I do know that it's at least for sure happened. They're not IDing them properly. So I wanted to bring that to our attention so that we can get it in the right committee or to try to discuss what should happen. My son's not a tattletale, but he actually will when he starts to feel like there's danger.
Absolutely.
So I take full efficacy in what he's saying. And I had actually heard it before that from an adult that overheard kids talking. So to me, this is like the second time I've heard it. And I just kind of wanted to bring it to our attention so that we can kind of put it in the right space to deal with that.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I am not aware of a smoke shop. Can you help me on where its location?
I've heard it's on Galbraith. Do you know where it's at?
I'll look for it when we talk about it.
Yes, that's actually where I've heard that it is.
Oh, in that little
That
strip
little
mall?
that little strip mall?
Is it the one with the paper all over the window? I thought that was
Bingo.
empty.
So the kids are definitely getting edibles, and that you need an ID.
White van parked in front of it most times, I believe. I thought it was empty.
And it's
No.
yeah, I'll take that off camera. Those other comments.
Any other new business?
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
hearing no other new business, I would like to make a motion, we adjourn.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dewald?
I will second that.
Motion by Ms. Zorb, second by Ms. DeWald to adjourn. Any discussion? I will call the roll. Ms. Dukes-Dean.
Yes.
Ms. DeWald.
Yes?
Ms. Zorb.
Yes.
Ms. Blythe.
Yes.
Ms. Brunner.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned. Thank you.